Okay, so I'm just giving a few minutes for a few people to tune in. Let's see. I was rushing today and I tried to do my eyebrows. I think they look good. What do y'all think? Okay, so for today's show, let's see. I have a few topics that I want to go over. Okay, so wait. To back it up, just let me give you all a little vibe about what Trigger Tuesdays is all about. So a few weeks before the civil rights movement for 2020 got started, we were in the trenches of COVID, right? In quarantine. And like every other artist out there, I decided to just go live with my artistry, which is acting and speaking and talking and hosting and all that good stuff. So here I am with definitely more of a political angle than I thought I would have. But honestly, it speaks more to what I actually went to school for than fashion, which is how some of you came to first know me. So anyway, let's get into some topics here. So I'm looking at my banner of topics. I'm just like, which one do I want to talk about first? Usually I have like my fishbowl of topics that I pull from, but to be honest, guys, so this was my birthday week. My birthday was Saturday. And I'm making that face because it was Saturday, but technically it's all of Leo season, which is why I'm still wearing my crown, and I will continue to do so. And no, it's not about like this trend that's going on. It's just about my birthday. So yeah. So let's go ahead and see which topics do I'm gonna start with. Okay, let's start with this one. Because small minds or small men try to break you down to fit their understanding. I have this saying that I used to do. I, for one, definitely want to be misunderstood by the masses. Oh gosh, I definitely look sleepy. Let me sit back because it looks better from this angle. So I definitely want to be misunderstood by the masses because if most people understand you, then that just means that you're on a basic playing field, a basic vibration. And also, most people aren't really brave enough to step out of their comfort zone. Guys, I didn't even, usually I take these down, but I didn't take them down today. But whatever, this is my home office. Of course, I have some mom stuff behind me. But yeah. So yeah, most people are not brave enough to step outside of their comfort zone and go after whatever it is that they want. And because of that, when they see someone who is able to do that very thing that they wish, like hell, I'm not sure if you're allowed to curse or even say hell on YouTube. So I had to clean up my potty mouth. But anyway, they wish that they try to destroy it and they try to break you down to fit their understanding. So my tip or my thinking for that is never, ever diminish yourself or make yourself smaller to fit someone else's world. Just, find someone who's big enough to fit your aura and your space and your energy. Next topic. Don't be distracted from the laws and the various moves going down while he's in the office. Okay, so I don't think I wrote this sentence properly, but basically what I'm saying here is that while we are distracted, and you guys already know a bunch of the things that we are distracted by and with, some of them we'll get into tonight, some of them we won't, and there's really no reason to. You're already distracted by it. You know what it is. But while we are distracted by these things and talking about things that really have no impact on our lives or the generation coming after us, this man who is in office is making several laws and appointing several people that will be in office way past this term or the next term. So I just want to say, there are certain things that we have to start paying attention to. And I'll be honest, even myself, there are times where I'm just like, okay, falling into a trap, especially on YouTube, you're like, okay, you click on one video that's ridiculous and you're like, it's a mind mind junk, like mind cookies, you know? And then after that, you're just like, oh, I just need one more and I just have to keep going. And so what I've been doing is just trying to stop myself and become very aware of what is happening, why it's happening, and just redirect. Why do I look like? Just redirect my my consciousness to what I want to focus on and where I want my energy to be. Next topic. This one is an interesting one, and I think it's really interesting, especially in the Black community, or even just Black and Brown community. How do we deal with mental health in adult relatives? Well, I can say this: we don't. And of course, I know that there are some people who are like, no, we do, and I do, and I know for one, I have been in therapy off and on, not off and on, like, you know, throughout the years. I've been in therapy for different reasons at different times in my life, both individual therapy as well as, yeah, I feel like you're rushing. I just feel like I'm rushing for some reason. Hold on. I just had a really, really busy day. And sometimes when I'm not really busy, just like from one thing to the next, from one thing to the next. And sometimes when I do like from one thing to the next, from one thing to the next, and it's time to sit down and just relax and talk to y'all, I find that I'm like speed talking. So let me slow down. Let's restart this. Okay, so the issue that I've noticed with mental health in the Black and Brown community, especially in adults, and I know for a fact, growing up in my family, there were definitely people who, and we would use terms like they're touched, they're special. Oh, well, that's just so and so. But now when we look back at it, you're like, oh, that's just so and so. Maybe we should get so and so some help. This isn't normal. Or maybe if we did, you know, diagnose it, figure out what the issue is, and really deal with it, this person could have a full life and not just, you know, like I always say, not just the length, but also the width of your life. So this is an interesting question, even for me to be asking it, because it's like, what do you do when you have an adult who is showing signs of mental health? I know for me now, if I were to be faced with this in my family, I would approach it from a united front. I would get in touch with all the other relatives that are, you know, looking at it quietly, and I would just say, like, what are we gonna do? But also to that, I want to say, I think you have to be aggressive. I do. I think, you know, like Kanye running around and saying my wife is this and my wife is that. Listen, y'all. Ain't no way on God's green earth would my husband with that type of behavior be able to lock himself up away somewhere and Cody anywhere talking about the doctors can't get to you, but I can't. That would be my response. There is no way. And then to say, well, he's not a threat to himself. How do you know that? And that is why there would be no way that he would just be over there publicly losing his mind and breaking down, and I would be somewhere talking about, I have no way to get in touch with him, he's ignoring me. Ignore me. I'm over here with these kids and you out here acting crazy as hell and you think you're gonna ignore me. Oh, I'm gonna show you crazy. That will be my response, but that's a whole other topic. Anyway, next topic. That was my phone going off over there. Wait, I talked about this last week. Why is this still here? Hide. Wait, am I in the... Okay, here we are. Okay. I thought that I was looking at the wrong topics. Bear with me, guys. Your purpose will find you. What are you running for? I think we talked about some of this last week. So, okay, let's jump into this. So the Civil Rights Movement 2020 update. update. And we have some names that I'd like to mention. Jonathan Mattingly, and excuse me if I'm mispronouncing these names. I actually did not look up the proper pronunciation, which I should have. Anyway, Jonathan Mattingly, Brett Hackinson, Miles Cosgrove, and Joshua James. These are the 4 men who killed Breonna Taylor now 4 months ago, I believe, as of yesterday or today. And nothing has happened. I believe one of them was fired, just one, but nothing has happened to the rest of them. Another thing that I wanted to point out about this, that I hear it sometimes, but honestly not often enough. After Breonna was shot by these 4 officers while she was home sleeping, none of them attempted to give her emergency help. None of them. That's shocking to me. That's barbaric to me, to be honest. And I'd like to know why. I'd like to know, what were you thinking when you... How long did it take for them to realize that they, 1, walked into the wrong home, 2, they shot an innocent person? Like, and even if you thought you shot the criminal, like, 4 months, 4 officers, nothing's happened yet. Next topic. Oh, but I do want to say, did I save that? I don't think I saved it. Oh, I do have it here. Let me pull this up because I have some information for you in case you want to, and I hope you do, because I do, and most likely if you're watching, then you do. In case you want to find out, like, okay, what do I do? Is there anything that I can do? Here's some information for you right here. And as you can see, these are ways that you can help Breonna Taylor. Like I said, it has been 4 months since 4 officers walked into her home, shot her while she was sleeping, and did nothing to administer emergency help or care after the fact. Here you see there are a list of contacts from her state where this crime happened. We have Mayor Greg Fisher, we have Attorney Thomas, we have the governor, we have the attorney general, and we have the police chief. We have phone numbers and emails. I encourage you to go ahead and, make your voice heard. Send an email. Not many people want to call, but call. If you don't know what to say, look up a quick script of, activism, phone script. What should I say? Look up something like that. I'm sure you'll find it. Google will help you out. But I just wanted to say, it's been 4 months. There are four officers who did nothing. And here is some information on some of the key players in the situation that could really, really make a difference there. So that is that for that topic. Moving on. So this one is something that wait, did I write this down on here? Hold on, let me come back to you guys. This one is something that I haven't seen here and there. Apparently on July 4th, Vox Booker survived an attempted lynching. Yes, Vox Booker, a grown man who's also, he worked for the Affordable Housing Commission. He also sits on some type of community outreach program. I'm not really sure about that, but apparently he was attacked by, obviously, a group of Trump supporters who punched him, tried to drag him over to a tree. They all used their bodies to pin him to the tree. I think it was one of the assailants, his daughter actually, saw and heard what was happening, and she began screaming, and, Mr. Booker began screaming, and that just kind of got the attention of the public nearby, and somehow he was able to get away. One of the things that was that stuck out to me is that he said, while they were attacking him, um, he could feel that one of the men jumped in the air, both feet in the air, and came down on his neck. And this was on July 4th. So it is very clear to see and understand and make the correlation between Trump, the officers who killed George Floyd, and what's happening in the masses. It is very clear to see and make that correlation. And if you don't see that, and if you feel that, oh, how in the world did she come up with that conclusion? You, my friend, have some issues that you need to deal with that you may not even know about yourself. Okay, so what else do I have? That was it. Okay, so a few more details on the Vox Booker, who is the survivor of an attempted lynching that happened on July 4th. It happened in Lake Monroe, Indiana. He is a local civil rights activist and a member of the Monroe County Human Rights Commission. And while he was being attacked, he heard someone shout, "Get the noose." Of course, the men who committed this crime against Mr. Booker are saying that he's putting out a false narrative. They're alleging that there was some type of exchange or fight between the two of them. Whatever fights happen, and never have I ever said, oh, you know what? I'm upset with this person. Let me get the noose. So I was taking notes. Levin joined in and he took some notes too. So he just wanted to send a little note for you guys. Oh, well, this is interesting. 50% of the appellate judges will be selected by Trump by the end of his second term. I believe the second term may actually be the first term, but that is 50% of judges. So while we are all distracted by, is Kanye crazy? Is he not crazy? Should we say crazy? Maybe we shouldn't say crazy. You know, it's cancel culture now. So maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should say he's mentally ill. He's definitely mentally ill. But while we are all preoccupied with that, the way, whatever, I'm not gonna say the universe, or like, because it's not, or the all powerful, because it's not those currently in power. That's what they want us to be. They want us to be distracted. Okay, so we have hit the 100-day mark. It was yesterday, so now we're at 99 days into the election. I don't really have too much to update you guys on in terms of Biden, except for that he seems to be winning Michigan by a slim margin. When I say slim, 6 points. No, like most people do not call it a slim margin, but to me, it is a very slim margin. And Michigan was a state that typically went with Trump, but because of the way he's handling the coronavirus pandemic, he's lost Michigan. So, and right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 states that are on the fence. So we're going to keep an eye out for them. And also Texas. Texas isn't on the fence. It's leaning Republican, as always. But there's a lot going down in Texas, and I want to keep an eye on them. Next topic. Alrighty, so let's go back to what it means to defund the police, because I don't have this in here. So I'll just make a new one. Defund the police. So here we are, still talking and still debating about whether or not we should defund the police and what that actually means. So before I go into whether or not we should, where I stand, obviously, if you're here, you know where I stand. Defunding the police is not the same as abolition of police. Defunding literally means taking funds from one thing and giving it to another. That's all it means. And the reason why this is a really good idea is because police use 4% of their time, 4% responding to violent calls. And despite them using 4% of their time responding to violent calls, the police department, and specifically the New York City Police Department, oh yes, the NYPD, they have basically been building an arsenal of military-esque, military-worthy weapons. Who are they going to war with? Okay, 50%. 50% of what we call the officers for is actually stuff that they aren't equipped to do. Like think about it. If we see someone who might be having some type of mental breakdown, would it be helpful if we called some type of mental health emergency services? They would show up and know what to do instead of just, bang, bang, shoot them up, because that's what the officers like to do. I don't know what to do with this issue, just shoot him. Get me a donut. I said what I said. Another issue I have with the police department, and this is a fact that I rarely hear, but I want to share. The very first police department was a slave patrol. Yes, the very first police department was a slave patrol. And it's my understanding that the way something starts most definitely trickles down and affects that thing for the entirety of its existence. You cannot tell me that something that was started to basically keep in check and in line, you can't tell me that some of that attitude is not still left over. That just doesn't make sense. Okay, the US collectively spends $100 billion a year on policing, while systems like education, healthcare, and housing suffer. And for any of you that are disputing this, wouldn't you say right now, our healthcare system is most definitely suffering? And we could have used some money, more funds invested into our healthcare instead of spending $100 billion on policing for I don't know how many years it's been going on. But just imagine if for 1 year, for one of these years, we just not for 1 year. Imagine if for every year we just took 1 billion and gave 1 billion more to healthcare. Maybe, just maybe, we could have saved some lives with this pandemic, and maybe, and just maybe, our economy would not be suffering. But here's the thing. I don't know if I have this in my banners. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't know. I'm just going to say it because it's real quick. Trump does not care that we are suffering from whatever it is. Forget about he doesn't care about civil rights movement. He doesn't care about any American, if you leave it up to me. Because if you do your research and Google it, he is most definitely profiting from the coronavirus pandemic. So how can we expect him to care and to come up with an action plan to fight it if he is benefiting from it? Never going to happen. Why? Wash over there. Well, what's in it for me? That is literally what he's sitting back saying. What's in it for me? I rush putting on my red lipstick. All right, so let's get into this because you know what? All right, so Republican Congressman Ted Yoho called AOC up. Yeah, he did. Okay, so let's get into it. So Ted Yoho is a U.S. representative by way of Florida, and he's been in office since 2013. Now, what happened was, okay, obviously there was a backstory, but do we care? No. Whatever they were talking about did not justify what he said. So I guess I have to say it because I'm trying to follow the rules. Allegedly, Yoho called AOC disgusting, out of her freaking mind and an effing bitch. Yoho denies this and says, I merely called AOC's policies BS. Now, if you watch his denial for like 3 to 5 seconds, his anger flares up and he forgets to check himself. He's like, I just called her policies. Mm-hmm. We heard you and I felt you. And no, I'm not the only one, because there are a lot of people who I don't always listen to what someone is saying. I listen to what they're not saying and also feed off their energy. And he was wood and pissed, really pissed, really pissed. So to further go into what Yoho felt, he felt she was out of line for telling people in her district to shoplift and defund the police. Your policies are BS. Here's the problem. Part of me wants to say he's misinterpreting what she's saying, but that's not what he's doing. He has a refusal to understand. You ever argue with someone and after a while you realize, oh wait, you didn't come to the table looking for a solution. You came here ready to throw down, stomp, kick, fight. And it doesn't matter if I say, oh my God, I've loved you as long as the sky's been blue. You just like, I don't care. I don't care. The sky might be purple. What do you mean blue? It's not blue. Well, what kind of blue? Is it navy blue? Like people like that. They just want to argue. So when he says he felt that she was out of line for telling people in her district to go shoplifting, you know good and well that is not what she is saying. And come here, Karen and Tom Trump, you know this. You know how I know this? Because y'all know Disney, right? Disney is responsible for, what's that guy, Peter Pan, who stole from the rich and gave to the poor. So don't tell me you don't understand the concept of someone stealing because they have a need and a necessity, and that she is ridiculous for telling people in your district. And the tone that is underlying and in his comment when he says, in your district. We all know what that means. And then for him to say, you just want to defund, so you want to tell them to shoplift and defund the police? Sir, do you honestly believe the mess that you have just said? You're saying that she wants to defund and I'm not going to say defund the police because I know what that means. You're accusing her of wanting to abolish the police department while also telling people to go and commit crimes. If that were the case, you would be able to somehow get her out of office because that would mean she is out of her mind. And it's just like, it's cool. And my final thoughts on that are, I think Yoho should try to be anti-patriarchy, because I'll be honest, there was a part where I was like, okay, his tone and the energy that I'm getting from him is, yeah, he did that. He did it. And he meant it. But maybe, just maybe, he doesn't see his flaws because, like many of us, depending on where you fall on the train tracks here, you might not know that your way of thinking is flawed. So, and I got that vibe from him a little bit, but not to make the excuses. This is cancel culture, hashtag time's up, hashtag it is a civil rights movement of 2020, hashtag say her name, hashtag where's my 40 acres and a mule, all of that, no excuses. Next couple. So Megan Thee Stallion is a rapper who was shot in both of her feet, and the response that has been going around on social media is disgusting, and specifically the responses that are coming from rappers and rappers who have been shot before, namely 50 Cent. And yes, he has apologized, but you know what? I still have something that I would like to say about this situation. Here we are, Black women, saying we do not feel protected because we're not. And you know, and that is really misinterpreted as, okay, what should we do? Should we go and stand in front of your doors? No. But when a crime is committed, well, okay, well, maybe. But when a crime is committed against a Black woman, why is it that our first instinct is to make fun of? Did you see how many memes were out there making fun of her, comparing her to this, comparing her to that, saying she's a man, a man? Why is it that as soon as, you know, a woman of a certain strength, and I hate to say strong woman because that just means certain. And it's like, depending on what day it is or which way you're looking at it, that can, you could think like also be some bad things. But anyway, I just remember growing up, like I grew up in the 90s, you know, with Biggie and Tupac were shot. And it was just like, of course, I know, yes, she didn't die. But the issue is when something happened to a rapper that you like that was on top, and Megan Thee Stallion is very much on top right now. People, like when I saw that, I was just like, shot. What's going on? I was shocked to see how many people, including other rappers and 50 who've been shot before, like, what kind of street code nonsense are these? Next topic, because sometimes I just need to go to the next topic. Okay, so which one are we going to now? Okay, well, this is a good one. And I have some bullet points about this. Okay, so going back to the civil rights movement of 2020 and giving you guys an update on just like kind of what I'm seeing. And if you guys are seeing anything out there that I do not cover, or just anything that just seems interesting, please do go ahead and email me. I'm trying to see. Wait, I know it looks funny because I look confused. I thought I had a banner with my email already in it, but I do not. So I'm just gonna put that here for you guys. You can email me. Also, if you have topics that you'd like to discuss, I have been collecting some topics, and I'm planning to do a show where it's all like reviewer triggers, which is going to be fun. And some of them are like, you really want to talk about this? All right. So yeah. So there's my email, and then also if Instagram is easier for you, you can send me a DM, but don't be sliding my DM. Just send me a DM. All right. Add this banner. I don't want to get a ticket. You don't let me make it a ticket. Well, anyway, it won't let me make it a ticket. But there is my email and also my Instagram handle. Guys, I am burning up. So I turned my New York City light. I turned my air conditioner off because it's a little loud. And I wanted to have some light. Okay, so let me go back to it. Okay, so here's the word on the street that I've lived with so far. The Black Lives Matter as an organization, as a brand, all of that is under attack. But that's to be expected, right? Because remember, we are in the middle of an election year. Also, don't you hate that when you're on the Zoom? I do. I'm like talking and then I start using it like it's in there. Anyway, no kidding. We are in the middle of an election year. And also, this is like the biggest movement in U.S. history. So obviously, people who are against Black Lives Matter and really what it stands for and what it's pushing for, I mean, what would you do? You throw dirt on the opponent's name. So that's what's happening. So before I go into like a few of the ways that that is happening, I just wanted to kind of briefly say, because I know a lot of people do not know, the Black Lives Matter movement was founded in 2013. It is defined as an organization that provides materials, guidance, and a framework for activists. And as you can see right here on the screen, I have the three, the names of the three founders. So, okay. Just to get started, bullet point number one, the Black Lives Matter movement is the largest movement in U.S. history. United States history, US history. 2, 26 million people in the United States have protested since the murder of George Floyd. 26 million people, and that is in the United States alone. I, for one, have been very, to be honest, I don't even know the adjective or the emotion. You know, at one point it's like flattered, overwhelmed, humbled, shocked by just the outpouring that's happening across the world and in other countries who are just saying, like, US, what's really happening over there? Like, what are you doing? Get it together. So the third bullet point is we're still having, and this is shocking to me, we are still having the debate that Black Lives Matter does not mean all lives do not matter. I can't believe that we really have to say this. Saying my life matters does not mean you don't matter. Saying I like my lipstick, I have a nice lipstick, does that mean that the lipstick that you've been wearing and loving your whole life is suddenly null and void? No, it just means, hey, I like mine and it's important. It doesn't negate or diminish yours. Now, for anyone who wants to argue that, or why do you need to say Black Lives Matter, that is essentially the problem. The fact that we have to say Black Lives Matter means we are not treated as though we do matter. So we have to say it loud and proud. And anyone who tries to argue, no, it doesn't mean that, like, it definitely means that all lives don't matter and that Black lives are better. No, like basic English and reading comprehensions. Remember guys, we had to do reading comprehension exams where we have to, okay, here's a paragraph. Let me read this. This is English. Okay, this sentence. We had to look at a sentence and just say, what does it mean? Inference. Like you have to be able to look at someone and say, what are you comprehending? And if you are comprehending something negative and you're pulling away from a statement that is meant to empower people who have been oppressed, then something is wrong with you and the lens through which you see the world. It is tainted. Number 4, Black Lives Matters ignores Black on Black crime. I hear this a lot of people like, okay, yeah, but what about Black on Black crime? Let me say something. Rome wasn't built in a day. And just because we have the largest movement in the United States history and 26 million people in the US alone have protested since the murder of George Floyd, which was just on May 25th. What do you want to happen in such a short span of time? It hasn't even been a year. You cannot undo a bunch of in like one quarter or one season or even 1 year. So for all the naysayers, and I do have a fact that I want to get into with you guys, for all the naysayers that are saying, well, what about Black on Black crime? What about it? We're working on it. Stay tuned. Be patient. Yes, we understand that it exists, but the very fact that you are saying that tells me that you have not nurtured your mind to understand fully and truly why it exists. When people are out there marching and they're saying we want to break down systematic racism, it is for this exact reason. There are reasons why people are committing crimes. There are reasons why self-love and self-hatred is a real thing. It's just very upsetting when people say, well, what about Black on Black crime? It's like, well, what about, I'm not going to. So anyway, back to what I'm talking about here. BLM has a Chicago chapter, and yes, Chicago is important to note here because Chicago is definitely a hot zone. I think it was Father's Day weekend or July 4th weekend. There was like a record number of shootings and killings that happened in 1 week, and I was just like, I mean, y'all don't need to worry about coronavirus. Y'all need to worry about. But anyway, the Chicago chapter has an entire mental health initiative, and it's called the Communal Healing. And they describe themselves as an initiative that dismantles systematic and interpersonal cycles of violence in Black communities. We destigmatize mental health, hold policymakers accountable, and develop radical alternatives for mental health care structures. And so far, they have listed two groups or avenues, ways that they're doing this. One, through violence intervention, and two, victim reconciliation. So what's really interesting here is that Chicago, which is a city that is hit the hardest, like, it's you can argue and debate which city has the most Black on Black crime, but I know for me, Chicago is a city that has been on my radar with this issue. So while people are complaining and whining about it, well, what are you going to do about Black on Black crime? The city that is suffering with it the most, I'm so proud of them because they are actually taking real action. We know we have a problem. We're trying to fix it. So continuing to point out a problem is not a solution. Bullet point number 5. BLM wants to dismantle the family unit. The Federalist, a right-wing website, recently ran an article with the headline, "How BLM's hatred of the family feeds its desire for revolution." This is really funny to me because this is coming from a sector, a demographic of people that have feared our families. When I say ours, I mean Black and brown families. They have feared our families. They have destroyed our families. They have divided our families. They have tainted our families. This is classic projecting and gaslighting. What this headline is accusing Black people, because when they say BLM, that's really code for Black people. What they're accusing us of is everything that they have ever done to us and to our family. Like the way that they would bring down, literally, physically and emotionally, the Black man in front of his wife and children. That alone has had scars, generational scars that get passed down. Don't tell me that BLM has a hatred for family. Based on what? Based on what? Next bullet point. BLM is a communist movement, a Marxist communist movement. I mean, Black people hate families. They're communists. They're criminals. They're this, they're that. I mean, but why? That's the interesting thing. Like, if I were someone who was like a target for Trump, and I see that he definitely has this target, because now when I'm on YouTube with certain things, like some people from his administration will pop up, hi, I'm Danny Trumpian. I just wanted you to know that my father would like to meet you. All expenses paid. Anyway, if I were one of those people, I would at one point think, if Black people are all these awful things, why? What is their motive? Like, they're communists, they want to destroy families. Why? Next topic. Let's get into Trump a little bit. Do I have a banner? I do have a banner for that. I'm gonna start putting my banners in order because then I don't misplace them, and when I need them, I can just hold up. All right, so this one is just about Trump. A few things I just want to point out, just because we are doing changes. I'll just put that. We are doing just kind of updates as we move forward and approach election day. So, as y'all already know, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. After every presidential statement, clarifications are needed, even to the point where people are taking what the president, what he is saying, and literally killing themselves. One speech from Mr. Trump cause a 1,000-point plummet in the stock market. His administration has the highest turnover rate in recent history. And just to refresh your memory, on March 31st, 2016, in a statement to the Washington Post, Trump promised to eliminate $19 trillion US debt in 8 years. Well, the federal debt has risen every year since he has been in office. And you already know what's been happening in recent weeks and months. So, my question is, Mr. Trump, what is your 2020 election platform? Well, here's the funny thing. He doesn't actually have one. I know, that sounds strange. At first, when I was looking it up, and I was like, I don't see it. Maybe it's me. So then I went and I looked at some other bloggers. They were like, no, I didn't see it. If you look at his website, there's nothing listed there, like nothing clearly listed. Usually someone has like their platform clearly listed, their slogan listed, like, and especially like with the first round, it was MAGA, make him, I'm not saying that shit. Meanwhile, the Republican Party, their website has not been updated since 2016. This is as of yesterday when I did my research. I don't know, maybe things change, but go on to their website and see when they are saying negative things about the president, they're actually talking about President Obama, who was the president in 2016. So one of the things I want to point out, folks, they have, the president is causing damaging relationships with international partners. Some important dates, like recent dates. This July 15th, the National Association of Police organization endorsed Trump. This is important because they endorsed Obama in 2008 and also in 2012. So that's something like interesting and important to know. Also on July 15th, Trump demoted his campaign manager. Like I said, he has the highest turnover rate in his administration. And it's like the show, you're fired. Anyone who like is a threat to his ego, you gotta go. July 14th, this is interesting. So on July 14th, at a White House news conference, Trump, he criticized Biden's energy plan and other policies that Biden has strong positions on. And this is very interesting because like what president does that? And also presidents are not supposed to use federal property for overt campaign purposes. Do we even need to talk about what he's doing with Goya? Okay, so another important date, September 29th, 2020. That's a Tuesday, y'all. And it is the first presidential debate. I'm not sure what time it is, but whatever time it is, I think we should go live and watch it together. What do you think? I think it's a really good idea. I appreciate you all for tuning in again with me tonight. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. If you are interested in going over some of your trigger topics, like what's bothering you, what's on your mind, or if you just have some topics that you want to run by me and have us discuss together live right here, you can go ahead and email me at Life with Tiffany. And remember, that's Tiffany with an I, Tiffiny. I am super sleepy. Can you tell? I look in my eyes. I am going to go fall asleep while attempting to watch something on Netflix. I love you all. See you next Tuesday. Bye.